yeah, like I said, we're gonna be listening to Young Thug's new album, Business is Business. Came out last week, and apparently there's a new version out called Metro's version. I don't know if that means it is just a deluxe edition or he actually went in and like did some remixing and mastering of the tracks and maybe changed some things here and there. But I didn't hear the original, so we're just gonna go with this one. I don't really know what to expect. I don't know if these are all kind of old songs or old verses. I don't know if this is like kind of throwaway stuff that he didn't put out before that he's putting out now, or somehow he got some verses out from jail. But we'll find out. So we'll see who and what and anything they could possibly be talking about on here. But yeah, he's kind of in a weird, tough position, obviously being in prison and kind of facing what he's facing, which could be a lot of years in jail and prison. And Gunna last week put out, or 2 weeks before, put out his own project. I forget the name now, but we reacted to it and I thought very highly of it. I thought that Gunna really put out probably one of his best projects in recent memory, at least collection of songs. And I really think he kind of put a lot of pressure on a lot of people that are kind of speaking down on him, because he showed that he could do it solo. He could do it on his own. He could kind of do it with no support. And like, it is a project that took a lot of people by surprise, because that joint had a lot of slappers on it. A lot of slappers. So a lot of people are thinking that this is kind of in response to that. I don't know if that's true, but the timing is certainly convenient. I also know that Young Thug probably also needs the bread, because I don't think people realize how expensive it is to fight a case like this. So putting out an album is probably also going to help him kind of raise some money towards that. So I'm interested to kind of see which direction this goes, and if he mentions Gunna or his situation much at all. So let's just hop right into it. Track number 1, Jonesboro. Let's go.
What?
Okay. Like I said, I don't know if this was recorded way back in the day or this is kind of like a new recording somehow, some way. So I don't know if he's speaking in general or he's referencing some people in his circle specifically. Talk about people snitching. Could have been shot. Who knows? Okay, I mean, it was a solid intro, solid track. I think the piano keys went crazy and the drums were definitely hidden. I wouldn't expect anything less from a Metro Boomin level production, but it wasn't like wow, groundbreaking, nothing I'd never heard before. It was actually very safe and in his wheelhouse, and he didn't really say much, just kind of the typical fare that he's always put out. There was a line or two that kind of made you raise your eyebrow and question if he was speaking about certain situations, but who knows. It wasn't very clear or direct like in Gunna's tracks. Let's go to track number 2, Mad Dog. Yeah, not gonna lie, it is kind of, production was okay. The hook breakdown was all right. Like, it had a little bop to it, a little bounce to it, but it sounds like pretty much everything that we've ever heard from Thug and other artists, kind of in that lane. It was kind of generic, I'm not gonna lie, and it's not one that I would find myself wanting to return to very much, if at all. So let's go to the next track, Uncle M. As much as I love Thug, and I do, I think that he's put out some really great music over the years and has like really kind of shifted and changed the way that music and hip hop in general, especially from Atlanta, is kind of made, for better or worse. But he has some pretty terrible lines sometimes, and that was yet another one of those that just had you like shaking your head, like, why? Like, that was terrible. Yeah, another one that was just kind of
Derivative.
it sounded kind of like a throwaway. Like it sounded like a song that was recorded a long time ago, or a song that probably wasn't supposed to go out at all. He really wasn't saying much. The production was very simple and basic and kind of generic. And I know he mentioned Uncle Murda. If you recall the history, this was a while back now. So this is what kind of makes me think this was definitely a throwaway from way back in the day, maybe. There was a quick little shot at Uncle Murda saying he can still get turned up, which, if you can read between the lines, definitely doesn't mean like gonna have fun. You know what I mean? And it's just funny that he's in prison and he's facing this crazy trial in the RICO case, and he's putting this out. No, I don't think they can add. At least don't know. I don't think they can bring this up in court, but I probably want to mention that again. Like bringing up old beef with the dude that said some shit about you back in the day and talking about you can still get kind of, touched is a wild dude for that. Like, I'd have been like, nah, you can't put that out. I'm going through too much right now. But he still did it, and it was just a low line, nothing crazy. But overall, it was a very kind of forgettable song. Let's go to next one. Want Me Done. Now, this album is long, so we are going to skip some tracks, but right now we're going to keep it going.
Expect me, nigga, like you expect Jesus to come back. Expect me, nigga. I'm coming.
Yo, it's like poker, honest. Whatever him, I'm get money.
I don't know about y'all, but I get tired of a lot of these rappers using Tupac to compare the situations to, or compare themselves to, because quite frankly, there's nobody out there that compares to Pac and what he stood for and what he went through and what he actually stood on. Like, no, completely different situations. And it gets kind of annoying when all these artists keep bringing up Pac whenever they face legal issues. Yeah, I don't know what to say.
Another one.
Another very kind of average, forgettable song. It's all sounding old. Like I said, I don't know if this is all old recorded stuff, but this certainly feels like old unreleased stuff that he's putting out now. Kind of like the B-side material, stuff that wasn't like really unique enough for like grab enough attention to like warrant putting it on an actual album. But that is how this is feeling right now. Like, it's okay. Like, it's kind of the typical fare you would expect from a Young Thug or a 21 Savage. It's just like nothing that's like exciting. Like, very basic right now. Very, very basic. Let's go to let's keep it going. Let's go to the next track. Cars Bring Me Out featuring Future. All right, things finally picking up a bit. Okay. Like I said, things finally start to pick up a bit. Like, of course, I had to take Future to kind of like bring that energy. Obviously, with the acoustic guitar, like kind of that trap R&B, trap rap that we've been getting a lot of, especially over the last 3, 4, 5 years. But I mean, there's a reason for it. It sounds good. It works well. Not the most original, but it works. And it was definitely much more of a vibe and a bop than what we've been getting so far. So shout out to that. Let's go to the next one featuring Drake. Oh, You Went. I kind of looked up on Twitter, see what people were talking about the album, and this is definitely one of the tracks that people were like mentioning. So let's give it a listen. I got most streams than you in February. Okay. Okay. All right. Overall, I was like, it's pretty kind of generic Drake verse for me. But at the end, I was like, F a wedding dress. After I hit, wait. F a wedding dress. I'm trying to mark after that. I'm trying to skirt. Okay. That's a funny little like closing outro. Other than that, like it was pretty generic Drake verse going on right there. Okay. It's 2 in a row right now. Definitely, like, I understand why people are talking about that. super like kind of like southern player feel to it, like definitely more kind of like laid back groovy feel than what we've been getting so far, which is a nice switch up and much needed. Like I said, Drake did his thing, even though it was a fairly generic verse for him, but overall it was a highly enjoyable track. So solid. Okay, hopefully this keeps up from here on out, but we'll see. So the next one, Money featuring Juice WRLD and Nicki Minaj. Okay, that was a fun little number. Yeah, 3 in a row now that we definitely picked up and definitely way more enjoyable than what we were getting before. Nice little bounce to it. Cool little number, possible club number. Yeah, overall it's just a solid bop right there. Let's go to the next track. Let's go to Wit Da Racks. That's tough. That was a tough line right there. That was definitely a tough little bar right there. I'm the type to go put my boots on. He the type to go tweet some. Okay. That was a tough little bar right there. I gotta shout out to him. Like 21 Savage has definitely been stepping up his game recently. It was a vibe. That was a vibe. It was a bop. Like I said, it was cool. The beat was solid. Beat was tough. They all did their thing. 21 did his thing on there. Like Travi did his thing. Cool track. You know what I mean? It's like overall, especially over the last few tracks that we've heard, this is kind of like what you would come to expect, like the bare minimum, what you would come to expect from Young Thug and Metro Boomin. And that's basically what we're getting. I don't really think it's anything like super memorable so far. Like nothing that I'd be like, yo, I really need to hear this again. But it has picked up and it is like a bit more just enjoyable and like a little more quality, but still like not at that bar that you would kind of expect. Let's go to Abracadabra featuring Travis Scott.
Abracadabra.
Nah, I'm wrong. I almost skipped it. Let's go to Parade on Cleveland featuring Drake. How long do you think before that's a caption? Like your favorite IG girl is for sure going to be captioning that. Don't talk about loyalty. Let me rewind that back.
Don't tell me about loyalty, show me this time.
Don't tell me about loyalty, show me this time. That was probably a caption, an IG caption in 0.5 seconds. Immediately after hearing that. That is the one thing that Drake is incredibly good at, is creating these super captionable little sayings and phrases in verses. I mean, in his verses. Like, that is something he is extremely good at. And I guarantee this was a caption almost immediately. Okay. That was tough. That was a tough song. Drake did his thing. That's kind of the usual typical Drake slow singy type of song that you would expect from him. And then I like dropped into like this little harder second verse beat, whatever you want to say, featuring Young Thug. And honestly, I think that's the best Thug has sounded so far in this album. I haven't really loved everything that he was doing up to this point, but that was fire. So I like that track, Parade on Cleveland. Let's go to the next one. Abracadabra featuring Travis Scott. Abracadabra. Again, another very solid number. Nothing like brand new or different from them, but it was definitely, serviceable, and it's something that was expected, kind of expected once again. Like, it's very safe so far, but it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable little track, little vibing, little number from them. Like, it was cool. Right down the line, let's go to Went Through It. See if he's talking about something in particular. Yeah, I mean, a bit misleading of a title, especially considering everything that's going on in his life. Went through it. I was expecting to hear more like about the situation, but obviously not. It was okay. It just felt like any other Thug song that he's ever done in the past. Again, I hate to say it, it certainly feels a bit
derivative.
And yeah, kind of forgettable. Like, title aside, didn't really do much. Let's go to the next one, Money on the Dresser. Okay, that was a bullet vibe. That was short and sweet, but that was a little vibe. That was definitely a bop. That had me, pick things up a bit. Like, it was the most probably interesting production that we got in a while here. It sounded like something that he was something a little different. Like, everything's too samey, but that was definitely a little different and a nice little change up from what we've been getting. Let's go to Hellcat Kenny. All right, that was another solid one. Production was different again, interesting. Finally, something like a little bit more interesting to kind of like dig into. And Lil Uzi Vert did his thing. Like, he doesn't really pop up that much, but every time he does, it's typically some interesting stuff. And he adds a lot to songs. Like, I'm not the biggest Uzi fan, but every time he does pop up, he typically does his thing. So this was another one of those. We're gonna do like the last two. Getting Long. Let's go to Global Access.
They will try and lock you up.
And this is featuring Nate Roos, who is, if you're not familiar, from the indie pop band Fun. The songs Some Nights and We Are Young were obviously incredibly massive hits. So it's funny to kind of see him here teamed up with Young Thug. But Thug always has this kind of history of pulling in like features that you wouldn't expect. Cool little track. I don't really know why Nate Roos was on that song at all. They sounded like two completely different tracks that were just smashed together for the purpose of having one more guest feature on here. But I mean, the second half was dope. Like, short and sweet. Yeah, production was solid. It was just like, didn't really sound like those two really fit together. It sounded like kind of something that was an afterthought. Let's go to the last track, Sake of My Kids. That was cool. I was a bit surprised. I was kind of expecting something totally different. And once again, based on the title of the song, when you call it Sake of My Kids, I was kind of expecting something a little more introspective and somber and like, thoughtful, speaking about a situation. But that is not what we got at all. It was definitely more of like a just traditional Thug song that you can throw on at a cookout or something like that. Like, yeah, kind of more of a bouncy, clubby, happy vibe to it than what I was kind of expecting from the title. But I think that's kind of the album as a whole. I think I'm probably not alone in this. I was expecting so much more. Obviously, I know his situation is delicate and he also doesn't have the ability to get into a studio and record. So I don't really hold that against him, that all of this sounds incredibly old, but that's hard to like not say that. It sounds like all old material and like all old Young Thug stuff, which is kind of strange also because his last album was Punk and it was titled Punk, and he did so many different left field, out of the box things, and which is kind of what he's been known for in his career. And it was kind of fresh, new, and exciting. And to hear this next album kind of go back to kind of sounds and songs and music that he was doing when he was first kind of blowing up and getting big, it's kind of a jarring experience and one that doesn't necessarily live up to the hype. Like, obviously a lot of people were excited for this, or like at least anticipating it because of everything that's surrounding him and what's going on. And a lot of people thought this might be kind of a direct response to Gunna's album, which came out literally a week before this one, but it wasn't. This is all clearly old material, old stuff that had been recorded and then put out. Whether this is what he would have done when he was out or not, hard to say, but I highly doubt this is the project that we would have gotten if he was free and out and able to move around. But it is what it is. And yeah, there's not like a ton of stuff for me to like really want to go back to and really dig into and listen to again and again, like a lot of his projects have had. It just doesn't really have that high of a replay value for me. Everything was just kind of it's cool. And that's just pretty much how I feel about the project as a whole. But you guys tell me what you guys think about this album. Does it live up to your expectations? Is this kind of like what you wanted to hear from a new Young Thug album, especially kind of what he's going through? And do you wish you kind of heard him at least somehow be able to get some verses in there that addressed his situation in some sort of way? What were your favorite tracks? What weren't? Do you see yourself wanting to go back to this album very much? Let us know in the comments down below wherever you're watching or listening to this.